Yeah, really nice to meet you, man. How are you doing?
Good, good. I haven't really used Google Hangouts a lot, so I-
Just
let
plugging
me
you in.
just here. Uh, okay, so he dropped out, or
Hmm.
this is weird. It seems we have two Hangouts going on. Um, hmm. So it says Eric Volkanus is on this Hangout, but I can't hear or see him anywhere.
Hmm.
Are you there, Eric? No.
What's his Gmail address?
Let me see. So can I write something here? Chat, yeah, there. This address.
I've tried inviting him too.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Well, I guess we'll just wait for him to come, huh? He'll probably make his way over sooner or later, I suppose. I loved your agenda, man. Yeah, I realised actually after I suggested. Oh, it looks like he's trying to call me on my phone.
Oops.
Yeah, should I?
Yeah, that's him.
Oh right, I drag it. Oh, I've not done it before. Eric? Hello? Hey Eric, hi man. How are you doing? We've got two hangouts happening at the same time. I don't know if we decided who was going to host it in the end. If it's the same to you, would you mind coming over to the other one just because I put the link in the Change the Future group and it's already broadcasting and stuff? Is that all right?
How can I?
So I've invited your email address. Maybe if you, maybe it won't invite you unless you close that one. But we've, yeah, sweet. All right, I'll see you in the other one in a sec. Cheers, man. Thanks. Cool.
Well, this is interesting using Google Plus Hangouts. So great tool
Yeah.
once you learn it, I guess.
It seems to have a lot of features, but the only feature it's lacking is the simplicity and reliability, I think. Like the thing that annoys me most that I've kind of mentioned, yeah, Alex PB, who's our Cody specialist, we
Uh-huh.
share a frustration with Google Hangouts that it seems to completely separate Google Hangouts and Google Hangouts on air are just totally on different websites, and you have to log in again to
Uh-huh.
access one and not the other. And if you start a Hangout that's not on air, you can't ever broadcast it. You have to just close it and start a new one that's on air. And it's just that it's ridiculous how similar they appear, but they're actually totally different. Anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Where's that man?
Yeah.
Maybe now he's closed that other Hangout, we should invite him again or something.
So can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm getting you loud and clear.
Okay, good.
Where are you right now?
I'm in Oslo, town
Uh-huh.
Oslo. So,
And that's where Eric lives, see?
no, he's at the moment he's in UK somewhere, but he is from Belgium.
Hmm. I feel like I should. I feel like I'm at the dinner table with my food getting cold in front of me. I should wait until he arrives. Uh, why is it so difficult for him? Can maybe we just share the link with him, no? Just I'll message him on Facebook with the link.
Well, there's this thing, this other window. It says people in this hangout, and it still says Eric. Oh, I think Eric.
Oh, there it is. Yay, Eric! Yes.
Oh.
Yay!
All right.
What happened in the end? Did you get a little thing in the corner pop up and say?
Yeah. Not in my mail, but in the Google Plus thing. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Lovely to see you both. I probably should have started broadcasting after we were all in one place. I just got a bit trigger happy. But anyway, yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for that agenda. That seems very clear and nice.
Yeah, thank you very much for getting in touch. Just hope our English is okay enough for you.
Yeah, that sounds great. Sounds great to me. Yeah, first thing I wanted to do was apologise for how that may have come across, like when I was just playing with, do I pronounce it Koios?
Yeah, I'm not sure what to pronounce it anyway, so.
Yeah, yeah, like I just thought I would just test it with just whatever came to mind, and so yeah, I just wanted it to kind of prove my statement wrong through the process of using it, I suppose, and it felt like a perfect statement that it's falling short of its own potential. I just thought if it's a really good problem-solving process, it will prove me wrong with that statement really effectively. But I see now that it's really more for, yeah, it's a bigger process, isn't it? It's not like you can't get a result necessarily that immediately, and you have to put a lot of information in to kind of describe the problem. I don't know, I find it fascinating looking at the kind of different approaches that you and me and all the different projects out there have. So yeah, that's one thing that I'm sure will be of immediate value to both of us, is sharing sort of similar existing projects that we're aware of that we can both like learn from, because I've definitely found a few now, and yeah,
so have we also have stumbled upon quite a lot of different systems and platforms. So we feel we have quite a good overview of this space, and no problem with the thing you wrote there at all. So it's just fun seeing people trying it out. So we're happy someone just logging in and trying it. So we're just happy that you're trying it. So,
yeah. If I do say so myself, I think me/ChangeTheFuture is an ideal opportunity for collaboration in whatever sense sort of feels right. I mean, I just mean that we're very, as a project, very open and transparent and really interested in sharing everything that we've learned and making it completely available, and just being flexible and open-minded with no kind of egotistical attachment to the project. So I think, if I was another project, even if I felt for whatever reason that ChangeTheFuture wasn't what I wanted to invest my personal energy in, I'd still probably find it useful for things. So I really hope it can be useful for you. But should we jump into that agenda that you created then? I'm just
yeah, sure.
Change the.
So it starts with maybe you saying a little bit about the history of your project and your agenda or your passions. Something.
Yeah, of course. Okay, well, I'm not a sort of web designer at all. I came by ChangeTheFuture. I co-founded ChangeTheFuture really with my best friend Charlie Shred, who is certainly not out of the picture, but he's kind of pretty preoccupied with other big ideas of his at the moment, and I guess we'll see his involvement later. But certainly for me, it's a full-time commitment now, because I finally, after about 4 years of working on Change the Future as its kind of current form, which is this more matured idea of a web platform, it's only last month that I finally did a crowdfunding campaign to help me pay my own rent, so that I can prioritize working on Change the Future above my sort of day job, if you like, which is film and video production. But the reason I think really why I arrived at Change the Future is perhaps kind of two things, I suppose. One is a kind of a character trait of mine, which of course is a result of my life story, but I think it's more abstract and I don't know where exactly it's come from. And it is that I feel like I can't invest my energy into one thing if I feel like there's an obstacle that's in the way, that's kind of affecting my impact. You know, if I feel like there's something that's just making it difficult for me to fully give everything I could to that thing. So, for example, Change the Future basically started its journey as actually a drama, a feature-length drama film, because loving film and video and that being my language, that's what I wanted to do. But then I felt like there was, I wanted to focus more into relationships between adults and young people while I was still quite a young person, and that idea was developing into education, I guess, over time, partly because of my difficult time in school, where I was a bit badly behaved and didn't really have a lot of friends, and I kind of got kicked out of my school basically and ended up in a pupil referral unit, and I was pretty unhappy there and not really learning. And then I had a single mum who was very brave and read a book about alternative education, and to cut a long story short, I ended up in a democratic school where everyone has one vote, the students and the teachers, and every decision in the school goes through that process in a weekly 2 or 3 hour meeting. And obviously it's a million miles away from the democracy that I supposedly live in this country. In the not only were the meetings chaired by students instead of some almost anonymous kind of elitist group of government or council, but there was an agenda that was on the wall right by the front door that anyone can join in and write stuff on at any point of the week. Hi, Willie. Hello.
And Willie is.
Hi, Willie. Can you hear us? It sounded like you were getting born. Sounded like an android just gave birth to you. It was musical. Can you hear us?
Now now are you moving? Hi.
Oh.
Hi. First time to meet you. Great.
Hi, man.
Hi, Luke.
Nice to meet you virtually. I was just saying that the kind of main event in my life that inspired Change the Future, even if I didn't realise it at the time, it kind of led to working on Change the Future. But should I carry on with that story and then sort of yeah, cool. All right, man. It's nice to have you with us. So yeah, basically, I just had been having a horrible time in school, in this kind of normal authoritarian mainstream school system where you've got teachers who know what's right and you've got a head teacher who makes all the decisions from a top-down kind of, you know, like all schools basically, almost all schools. And that really wasn't working for me. And I recognised that it does work for some people better than it did for me, but I guess I needed more and the school wasn't flexible enough to offer me that. So what happens in that situation is the student gets ejected from the system, and that's what happened to me. And I was lucky enough to, rather than fall between the gaps of the system and end up in the shadows, sort of underneath the floorboards of society, which I guess I was in for a few months when I was in the pupil referral units, which I don't know if you know those, but they're kind of a bit like schools for disruptive students. It feels a little bit like prison, and it's not a happy environment really for the most part. You're around a lot of young people who are really struggling, and there's a lot of bullying, and yeah. But so at this democratic school that I was at between 14 and 16 years old, I felt like I really learnt a lot from being in a very close community with my teachers, and it felt really equal. And you know, at lunchtime, everybody walks out with their lunch that they probably helped to make at lunchtime. And you know, students will sit on the same tables as teachers, and they just socialise. You know, it feels like a very free, comfortable, warm, friendly environment. And there's no school uniform. Teachers have first name basis. You don't have to go to lessons if you don't want to. They're non-compulsory. But 95% of the time, students do go to lessons. It's just if they don't feel in the mood, or you know, if they feel really distracted by something, or they're passionately working away on maths or science or building something, or they are really, really enjoying a game, they might carry on doing that. But I just wanted to share that amazing privilege that I felt like I had in my school, which was unfortunately private, because the government still, in my opinion, completely fails to recognise the importance of democratic schools and really doesn't understand the value of them, you know. And in fact, my school was almost shut down a couple of times. But anyway, so I wanted to just share that process with the world somehow, and I didn't know how at the time. I felt like the internet was still, you know, not as mature and powerful and accessible as it is today. And now I feel more than ever like it is actually possible to create a virtual environment that can go a long way in terms of creating a space that's really warm. There's a sense of community. People who might really disagree on ideas still feel welcome in the same place. And I think in person that's really difficult to create. I really want to explore how best we can try to do that in a virtual environment. Yeah, I feel like I've talked enough about that. I hope that sort of gives some idea of the backstory for me.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for sharing your personal story. I think it's very good to share stories like this, so we really get to know each other. So thanks a lot. Very interesting to hear where you're coming from. And actually, there's some similarities with my background also. Although Norway is ranked often to be the best country to live in the world. We also have social issues, and I was not exactly raised in a resourceful family, so I grew up seeing many social issues around me. And being a nerd, I gradually centered toward computers and programming. So that's what I've been doing, and that's my background and my strength in all of this, and developing this Koios platform. And when you mix that with education into knowledge management, web development, ontologies, all kinds of social media stuff, then you end up with Koios. Also a background in martial arts, so discipline and this kind of greater good has been a strong influence on me. So very shortly, that's my personal background, and maybe I could also tell a little bit about the achievements or accomplishments of Koios so far. I just wrote a web page on Koios about this, but it's not very easy to find it. So back in 2006, I got the idea for Koios, and spent a couple of years doing research on this, trying to figure out what others have done and what things work, what doesn't work. So I wrote a big requirement specification. As an engineer, that's what we do. We write technical specifications. So I wrote a very detailed one and started getting in contact with experts in the field to get feedback and evolve the ideas. And in 2010, I got some funding from the Norwegian Ministry of Reform. They're always changing their name, so the Ministry of Reform, so they're changing their name all the time.
What do they exist to do? What's their purpose?
It's to to consolidate and make the public the government more effective, basically. So yes, funding in 2010, and then started really heavy development, prototyping of the platform. 2012, establishing a core team with Eric, for example, and last year even more detailed programming and development of a platform that was ready for daylight for people to actually use. So now people can actually log in and try it out. And as you probably found out, it was quite a considerable, comprehensive platform with a lot of details, a lot of steps, detailed process, problem-solving process with a lot of sub-steps and slots. So that's what we have found out during all of our research, is that solving social problem is not easy thing to do. It's not can't just invent an app and have people use that app and solve all the world's problems. So quite a lot of research has come into this platform, and we do research weekly to update the platform, gradually improve parts of the platform, and especially the problem-solving process. So I really think we're onto something here, and we still haven't found any other platform that can that resembles or in any way can compete with this. There's also all kinds of other tools that you can use as part of the problem-solving process, but there's no complete nor no integrated platform for all the steps of the problem-solving process and all of the tasks that go into a multi-stakeholder kind of change process from the early initiation phase to the complete end with the rollout of solutions and making ideas really go viral. And so there's this platform is getting so big, it's really hard to describe it in just a few minutes. There's so many things it encompasses. So, but yeah, the current status now is that we're really trying to put more effort on testing to get more feedback and get it ready for mainstream. So, and that's where we have hopes to connect with more people. And
should I?
Any questions? Oh, okay. Yes, so that's what we're hoping right now, is to get more people to test the platform and to make this spread. Now that we feel that the MVP or the core features are kind of there. So
yeah,
that's where we are at the moment.
Awesome. I just wanted to mention one thing. I'm sure you know this, but I just wanted to raise it just while it's in front of my face. I'm on Koios homepage, and then I logged in, and then under my page, getting started, there's two buttons: view problems and add problem. Are you aware that if I click view problems, it says cannot find page?
Okay. Thanks a lot. I'll fix that.
So yeah, like that's kind of the first place I would go as a new user. Is I don't know if you consider it right now ready for beta testing right now, but So that's the normal path I guess I would take to kind of start getting my hands dirty and get involved, is click that view buttons thing. There's also the problems button at the very top. That seems to work, that link, but not if I click the view problems in my login screen. So there's two problems at the moment that are being problem solved on here, huh?
Yeah, well, there's two. We have kind of highlighted two problems because they are the most developed at this stage. But obviously, later we hope to have better, more content and yeah, better featured problems. But this link you try to click, that's really bad error, bad bug. It should have been found and fixed a long time ago.
My sort of, I'm just kind of thinking aloud, but I think that's what I like other people to do because it's so instant and relevant. But I feel like looking at the sort of project and the ethos and values and the introduction video, you know, this is, you know, I spent a lot of time looking at similar kind of projects, like-minded initiatives, and Koios really stands out as one that excites me a lot. Yeah, there's only a couple of other projects that inspire me as much in terms of the pitch, and I'm really interested in how much you seem to encourage the deep understanding of challenges. I don't know, I haven't explored it that much. I really want to go through it more.
Yeah, we really believe that in doing analysis and systems thinking, and that's to really understand the issues, really understand the stakeholders involving people, and really understand the deeper underlying issues, and doing a root cause analysis is really important to really solve the problem. Not just come up with all kinds of solutions that don't really solve the underlying problem, just addresses the symptoms.
Yeah, like I totally believe that 90% of solving a problem is understanding what the problem is in the first place, like really understanding it. And then the remaining 10% is, you know, mostly just people just actually being in the right environment to come up with the answer. Just like a space that feels comfortable and not overloaded and confusing and things. And then but so this is really interesting. It feels like the ultimate objective of Change the Future and Koios are basically the same, but we seem to be going about it with quite different sort of interfaces. I wonder if in Koios, do you feel like this is, you want to design it so that, for example, like an 11-year-old child could use Koios to propose, for example, a change in their school, like they want to get rid of school uniform or something?
We're actually, it's very interesting you brought up that question, because we're right now in talks with a school in the US. They're 8th graders, so they're about 12 years old. So this teacher is supposed to try out Koios, and we have plans for various new features that will, I can send you a link to those features actually. There's special needs or requirements for having children participate in such a project. So, but yes, absolutely, we want to have younger people also be able to solve community problems, school problems.
It feels like it's geared towards enormous systemic problems primarily, partly just because to solve those much bigger systemic problems, like maybe aspects of our economy and maybe money creation, things that just have problems that have huge amounts of facets, huge stakeholders in different countries and different situations, and a huge amount of complexity in the problem solving. Yeah, it feels like it's geared primarily towards that, and it doesn't feel to me at the moment so instantly gratifying and as accessible as it might be for, you know, like, yeah, maybe a kid who wants to just change something in their school, or if because for Change the Future, for example, I really want it to, I really feel like I understand the value of deeply understanding problems and going through this narrative of really piecing together, why is this problem happening, why isn't it already solved, yeah, what could be done and things like that. But I really want people to be able to just log onto the app for Change the Future in a year or two from now and just go, there's this big office building that I'm walking past right now, that I'm looking at right now, and it seems to be empty all the time. It's like being empty for 6 months, and I propose that we turn it into a free space for charities to work in until the landlord can get a proper contract, you know. So let's use this building for something right now until it's properly leased out, you know. So I want it to be something people can just instantly get the ball rolling, and it's totally fine for it to be a completely half-baked idea, and either it's the seed of a very good idea, or it's just a bad seed, and you know that building is just about to be sold next week, or it's just about to be demolished for a good reason, you know. And so it needs to be able to efficiently sync, or really efficiently be seen by lots of people, and like a Wikipedia article built upon. And I feel like it shouldn't so much force you into a chronological narrative where you have to begin here and go through a process which it seems like Koios makes you do here, but I'm not sure. I'm just judging because it has arrows going from introduction, what is happening, what it consists of, in the understanding the problem page.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
So, do you hear me well? Is my voice
loud and clear?
Okay. So, I talked with with Roy before that. Like, yeah, one of my ideas was to create a simple problem and solution thing, where actually simple problems could be addressed. And one of my reasons was
Daniel Harris. Yeah, Daniel Harris is an important person involved in Change the Future things. So yeah, it's really great to have you here, man. We're a few minutes in, and Eric was just adding something to kind of comparing Koios to Change the Future, in that I'd really like Change the Future to be very instantly accessible for people to use immediately, and people expand on the understanding the challenge or building on the solution. And yeah, Eric was just responding to that, but we've kind of just sort of described our project a little bit already. But I'll let you say maybe hi first, and we could crack on.
I'll just let you carry on, yeah?
Okay, thanks. Daniel, can you heighten your camera? Else I'm seeing you like this. It's a bit weird.
I'm actually cooking while I'm listening in, so I won't necessarily be there. I'm just going to listen in for a little while, but so pick up where you're at.
Okay, fine.
Okay. So I'll wander around. You'll see my room.
So I was talking, yeah. So we were talking about that Koios is actually right now only a platform for solving complex social issues, and only complex issues. And to create some more simple interactions, it's not really suited right now. And I was saying, I proposed to Roy already to make like a simple problem solution form as well, that we could actually address those simple problems, because people aren't used to solving problems online yet. There are forums, there are question and answering websites, there are stuff like that, but there is no culture of solving problems. There is, if we ran the world, is actually very close to that, to solving problems, but they don't. Well, they didn't get a platform running with a lot of people, I think. But I think it might be a good step as well, just to get people used to thinking in these terms of solving problems. And right now, the threshold is pretty high because it's a pretty complex system with multi-layered, and to start getting into the stuff like me trying to think of a huge problem like poverty in the world and then trying to make it with concise descriptions of it, that's already quite a lot of work, of course. And of course there's lower scale problems that still can fit into the platform. But there's something about the threshold that's really relevant for me as well in the further development of Koios, which I think can be solved. I like the layers that are inside because it helps also people to think and structure their ideas and put them in the right place. That might actually be helpful. But I think it's also a good thing to find a more simple way, and it could be that it is a new feature within Koios, or it could also be like in one moment we merge with another platform. I heard you were thinking about implementing something like liquid democracy or something. So it could become one platform, and that could be one part of the platform. One part could be liquid democracy, which is much more about really thinking about issues and giving layers. No, giving different solutions to an issue and debating about it, and a process of debating and like the different time phases I remember in liquid democracy. And also the voting system is really particular in liquid democracy, and I like the basic concept. But there's no clear like there's not one way to progress within Koios, but it's a good issue.
Okay, so so that was one of my two responses I came up with while you were talking was so there's no way that Koios is designed to kind of affect direct real world change. Is it just for kind of theorizing and collecting ideas, but it doesn't really have an engine for realizing those ideas in the real world exactly directly yet.
Okay, can I maybe tell a bit about my background so you have a better overview on where I come into Koios? I've been brainstorming for like 7 years myself. I've collected many different resources, as you did, I think. And I decided at one moment, it was last year in August, I guess, to join Koios in the effort, and I would become the community manager. And I kind of took up that role, and I started reading about it. But then I understood as well that I really want to be able also to support all the different initiatives that I see are worthwhile. And what I do is I try to puzzle, I try to make a fit of all the ideas and all the projects I'm involved with. And I'm trying to build, I'm writing the vision for an organization now. There's the Facebook group called the Network of Networks. I think Daniel is there as well. I don't know if you're there, Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all about creating a puzzle with all the things that are there. And I really believe in Koios, and I want to support it. But I also feel that we really would like to get more people on board. That's one thing that really are committed, because we have a Facebook group and there are people there, and some of them are more active. But we really need. For me, Koios is not the only piece of the puzzle. That's one thing. But it's a beautiful one already. I think it's a beautiful piece of the puzzle of how things can be solved. And I really believe that we are in a phase where we really need to collaborate more with other projects, and for it to further evolve. Yeah, that's how I feel right now. And my role as community manager will continue until I find someone who can take it up, so I can focus more on the higher level puzzling and creating the connections within the network of networks, and also writing creating the organization, so then maybe we can get funding again and this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, there was a lot of things there. I'll from both of you. I'll try to address them all if I remember all the points. As you said, the network of networks. That's I think it's very important that we are connected to a larger ecosystem and are able to bring new ideas into all of this. And hopefully there will be an ecosystem, and Koios can be part of a bigger ecosystem. But the ultimate goal of Koios is, as I mentioned earlier, to be sort of the one-stop, the site to go to solve social problems. Like Facebook, when you go there, you get all you need there when you want to connect with your friends and keep have your relations. So Koios is supposed to be the place where you have all the tools integrated, so you don't have to use many different tools and have data in different places and have all kinds of noise and issues with different user accounts and all kinds of the issues that follows with using many different tools. You often get these kind of Frankenstein solutions that's not very useful or user-friendly at all. So that's some of the goals, and there was something said about kind of being kind of complicated and maybe geared towards the bigger social issues, and that's also kind of the strategy to target kind of the big issues, but at the same time be able to use the same platform for not the super big issues, but maybe on a smaller size. But it happens that I'm working in innovation management, so my day job is to develop ID management solutions. And it sounds a bit like what you actually want is an ID management ID system, like IDO, something like that. Like it's more like a site where you have post your challenge and people can submit ideas for this challenge. So
so what's this one?
IDO is a very
I have no idea. Yeah. Familiar with that.
Yeah, open IDO. Yeah. So but there's already a bunch of people in this organizations or products in that space, the same as OpenIDO, but on a more complex problem area, Koios is completely alone, as I see it. So that's and also by focusing on the medium to big issues, we have a really have an opportunity to make a really big impact also, I think. And it's all designed, the complete platform is designed to scale also. So I really think that this platform can really make a big difference. There was also, you want it to be instantly used, and that's a really hard one. We're all the time trying to make the platform more user-friendly and have a kind of progressive and gradually kind of introduction for users, so they can gradually get into the system and flow of it. But for such a big system, this is a challenge, design challenge. And other things. Yeah, you mentioned also the process. It seems like a very linear process. You start at and go to the right. You could go that way, but it's also designed in a way that you can just jump into anywhere, any step of the process, and jump back and forth just as you like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
3 things. I just thought we could, if you wanted to, we could just try this thing. I just wrote me in the chat window just because I thought it might be a laugh to try, like, if one of us wanted to say something and they were like patiently waiting, they could just make that known by just writing something like maybe me, as in like me next or something. I just thought it could be nice, just like, yeah, if you're like itching to say something, just so the person knows you're waiting, and yeah, we kind of go in a good order. Just an idea. But so yeah. Also, yeah. Before I forget, it would be super great to get if you have like a list of similar projects to Koios and Change the Future. That would be immensely useful to me. And then, okay, cool. Yeah, Willie needs to leave soon. I'll save my 3rd point, which is kind of just me wanting to, I think, give a bit more of a focused fragment of a description about Change the Future and kind of how I feel like now, with better understanding of Koios, I see it as a little bit different in approach and stuff. I kind of want to explore that a little bit more and our reasonings for why we're different. But I'll hold on to that and we'll go to Willie maybe.
Yeah, okay. Unmuted, thank you. First, to introduce me super short, I came across Duke with this network of networks and realized that maybe at some time the project would need some more traction with reachability, just to building community. And I am, as I'm written on the Google document, for instance, I'm doing volunteer work on Living Bridges Planet, which is now 6,700 members. And this is very mixed, and they could give you at a certain stage of the project, just to bring you in context why I'm here, is one reason that to keep in mind that many projects die just because there's a hardcore of group which is very ambitious, but at some time, like in the desert, they are no longer motivated because the traction is not following. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, in the moment here in Berlin, we have the sharing week because there's a rotation of cities. Now there's a week in Berlin with the sharing issue, which is very important for communal development, I think. And concerning the education, just come back to me, Luke, if you want to know more, because we will have our education hackathon on 14th, 15th. And when I dropped in, I heard that you were about alternative schooling and such.
Very much so.
Yeah, so this is about 18, 19 locations worldwide. And they are doing local hangouts then to cross-pollinate, yeah. And now to the point of Koios, finally. I realize, because I just came from this event in the last days, unconference and so on, that it's just one approach to build a platform. Yeah? And I myself have studied information science. This means I'm acquainted with information management, knowledge management, and stuff. And I conceive me sometimes as a social information architect while I'm doing my living by being in foresight, doing trend research. Yeah? And so I am typically a platform fan. But coming from an event, I know it's so important that you kind of celebrate just face-to-face meetings and motivate people just with this, and see platforms more as a complementary. Yeah? It's like you have to have really both. It's not against any technological solution, but one can have an evolutionary track and gets a blind spot that now it's only about optimizing the platform, more and more optimizing.
Yeah.
Instead, when you start to have a rhythm with, for instance, face-to-face online meetings, yeah, this is also important to have synchronized communication online. What we are doing on Living Bridges Planet, which is very successful, while many Facebook groups are dying just because they don't know the trick that you need synchronized communication, what we have now. Yeah? I see your face, I see your mimics, and I hear the emotion of your voice. And if you lose this, then you end always only in an advertising group where people are bored of spamming each other. Yeah? And so just my 2 cents, now I was long, sorry, but I had to get rid of all of this because it's all related, and I hope to come back on another occasion. I just dropped in because I saw it's there's the link, and to make me visible for a moment, and at a later time
Cool, man.
we will
Nice.
each other. Yeah, if you want to respond, it's not such a hurry that I drop out instantly.
Just a very short response from me. I totally agree with what you're saying. My position is that creating groups of people is it might be easier. Forming coalitions or large group, especially on Facebook, that's very easy. And having a lot of people coming together is easy. But creating a really good working platform, that's not as easy. That's my experience or position.
Yeah, so it's in my opinion, after 2-3 years of experience with building on the principles of social capital, yeah, it's so important to understand this border between sociology, psychology, and it's a kind of mathematics, because in the social capital theory of Robert Putnam, an US guy, not the European concept of social capital, which is much too lazy, I think. In a sense, it's not so easy to make it work. You have what we are doing now to know each other. It's called the bonding. Then you have the bridging between networks. Like, if you don't actively bridge to networks, you're just confident with your group, it will die. Just you have no diversity. And the other thing is linking. So it's a simple theory, but it works if you understand that human beings are not just objects, of course, where you can think they will do if you have a platform and you analyze the needs and you have a list of needs, and then you say, why don't they come also? I don't know the state of Koios, I have no idea. Yeah? But for instance, when I saw it, I remember, yeah, I know, I was there, but it's long ago, so you are probably not very visible, and this is another occasion, yeah, to connect with a bigger network like this Living Bridges. So some people would say, oh, that's exactly what I'm interested in. Yeah, let's do something together. This is mathematics. The more the volume of this group, the more, of course, is the chance that there's a match, and then some people come to you asking, "What is it? Can I support you?" And so.
Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're kind of a catch-22 actually, or 21 or 23. I don't remember. It's this. Like, we are in a paradoxical situation there. Roy has been telling me to put off inviting more people to the platform. Well, not anymore now, but it was like that a while ago, because we want to test it more, because we want it to be really fundamentally stable, and really we want to feel really good about it. But right now we come at a stage that we really want actually to have committed people. We would like to find them, and I have strategies for that. And once I will, I think I might invite more people, but then it's also about maintaining it. I think what I've understood by social media management, like community management online, is it requires a lot of micromanagement. And I think that's something we need as well. I'm not very proficient at that right now because I'm dealing with so many projects at the same time that it takes me too much effort. But I think we really need someone who can follow through on the community management in a way that they are really on top of all the reactions that come to it, and that really that can carry people's worry, people's questions, people's frictions with the system, because it's still in testing phase. There will be a lot of frictions. There will be a lot of things that don't work yet how people would like it, and a lot of reasons to disconnect. But it's really very much in a growing phase, and it would be nice to find those. And that's my next step, is just opening up to a bigger space of people. I have many groups on Facebook which I can talk to, which I can invite. So that's actually the phase now. I think I would like to open it up, and I think Roy wants it as well. But we also need really to be able to carry a group. We need people that really put their effort for, like, that we can depend on and that we can build on.
Yes, exactly. This meeting was actually about Koios and Change the Future, and what kind of collaboration we could have between the two projects. And it seems to me that we're kind of complementary, could work very well together, fill others' needs and others make each other better.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are some kind of differences. As you mentioned, you would like a platform that is more easy to use straight away, and I'm hoping that we could try to figure out, find a middle way, so we could really join efforts.
Yeah.
I would really love to join your team, Luke. We particularly need people in communications. I see that you're very good at communicating, creating graphics, video, and all that kind of stuff. So that's very important. That would be a very big value to our project. So let's try to work on this idea, how we actually could merge the two projects. If you think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, awesome, man. Like, for me, it's a challenge, a really positive challenge, to just keep reminding myself that I am not a human being who's interested in solely devoting myself to something, some man-made idea called Change the Future. What I'm really striving towards, like what I'm actually excited about, is what for me right now I feel like Change the Future represents. And as far as I know, it could be better represented by another project, or I suppose I would imagine more that Change the Future would adapt to update itself, to improve itself, to match my sort of vision, or rather the collective vision of the group of people who have created Change the Future together. But yeah, so what I'm saying is I don't want to have an egotistical attachment to any single project, or kind of, you know, I need my name or badge on this or whatever. So yeah, definitely I'd be really happy to support other projects or help you beta test Koios and stuff like that, for sure. But I for a while I've been really wanting to kind of I think define what having now chatted to you guys for a bit, what I feel like is exactly the difference between our approach, at least at the moment, is that I feel like the magic of what Change the Future is representing for me is the art form of that problem-solving, change-making process and how holistic it is, and how many incredibly different ways there are of contributing to it. So some people might just use Change the Future mostly to just look at existing conversations that people are having, whether they're a debate or just chatting about something, and they might just sort of spot that people are kind of, one person's getting the wrong end of the stick, or someone else is, there's some miscommunication, and they could help with that a little bit. You know, just such different kind of ways of contributing. They could upload images that help illustrate a problem, like maybe a problem to do with recycling and waste in the city that I live in or something. People could go onto each other's profiles and say this person's really open-minded or a really friendly communicator, or they're really good at evidencing their claims, things like that. You know, there could be 100 different kinds of people that use the web platform with totally different sort of approaches, but I guess for me it's the proposal that is really the spearhead of this change-making process that makes it so exciting and powerful for me. And so I want Change the Future to work on its design starting from that proposal point, because I feel like that's actually where the actual change really happens. That's the spark of the change, and obviously it needs to be well informed, it needs to be democratic and inclusive. It's not just like more the merrier, but so I see it as actually at this point in time I feel like it can be the same change making process for enormous proposals like let's replace money with time banking across the whole country, all the way down to I propose we fix this pothole on my street or something like that. I feel like it can be the same process, and I feel like it should be incredibly easy. You know, like I'm not a fan of Apple products, but I think a lot of them can be really good at just not overwhelming you with buttons and controls and things. You just start off with the basic primary human need or desire, which is surely to mainly improve something. You know, this thing pissed me off, it's broken, or it could be better. You know, there's a massive park that's not really being used, and I feel like it could be used for something much better. Or you know, this road is too fast and people are getting knocked off their bicycles, or maybe it's some kind of more ambitious ideological thing. But I feel like that will start to happen more and more as we start to excite people about the cooperative democratic process. And actually what is best to tap into right now is what human beings are best at right now, which is caring primarily about themselves and having like a fairly short horizon, and you know, issues that they're an expert on. Like I have a disabled brother, I understand the issues of my disabled brother in schools, in music venues, things like that. So I think the things that's where we're going to access the most diverse community, and not just get people who are kind of champagne socialists or kind of a certain class of well-educated people who already recognize the value of cooperative democratic processes. I really want Change the Future, or this kind of work, to be very good at reaching the digitally excluded older generation who are very easily overwhelmed by lots of buttons, and I want it to be exciting and colourful enough to excite kids to come along and use it as well. I feel like the power of these platforms is massively to do with the diversity of our community and how unimaginably diverse our different skills and insights and wisdoms are from our unique lives. So I really want to create a platform that is easy to use for all of these people, and so I'm looking at ideas of how we can maybe hide some of the more complex controls until maybe you've used the web platform a bit more. Then it can say, you know, like computer games do that. They say, you just use this button, and then when you've gone through a couple of levels, you can use more buttons. Or maybe you can even select how complex you want the interface to be. But yeah, it starts with the change you want to actually make now, I guess.
Daniel is desperately trying to say something, wanting to say something. I've heard you, and two books I gave in the beginning of our collaboration to Roy was The Laws of Simplicity and Simple and Usable, which are 2 books for creating really simple software. So our intent is certainly there to create simple software and to create, and it's not there yet. It's not a simple platform yet. And it might never become really a simple platform, but maybe a layered platform that allows people that don't have the kind of insight or the kind of tech savviness to feel more welcomed and not overwhelmed. I think that's a way to strive for, good thing to strive for. But in which form that will evolve, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Daniel.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, just listening to this conversation, I'm thinking I really like your idea about typing in me. I think that could be a case for actually saying everyone gets a minute and then someone else has to speak, even if it's for 10 seconds minimum, and then it would keep the thing flowing a bit. And trying to think of topics, questions, issues, boom, 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 boom. Anyway, just one concern that came up for me is just being, out in the ether, seeing all these projects comes up. One thing that really aggravates me actually is lots of furore, lots of marketing, lots of great ideas around a brand, around a project, and then people a year later say, actually, I'm just going to do something else, or for maybe legitimate reasons why people decide to do something else or change the name, or sometimes changing the name isn't so bad, but doing something else, so I have when there's the discussion of let's merge or whatever, I'm very, very cautious, because there is something about having a brand and having a baby, and you want to nurture it, and by the way, I'm not so down on ego. I don't know what this ego thing is. I am important, just as much as you are important, all of you guys. So I don't know. Ego doesn't exist in my language because I don't understand it. Anyway, so things I'd like to ask are, so I can figure out what. So it's not open source yet. It's C++, C#. My vision of what we need to be doing is have lots of separate projects all interlinking. That's not easy when we're. It'd be much easier if there was one computer in the world and we all logged into it, and we all use the same terminology and it was just there. It would be much easier, but it's not safe. If that computer goes down, we're screwed. So it's actually really good to have distributed, federated systems, and also different people organizing different places. Because if one organization falls apart, then the whole thing goes. If it's all reliant on a server farm and that blows up, So distributed systems in terms of organization methodology and more organization architecture as well as server architecture is important, as well as software architecture. Everything modular in many ways, and it becomes much more resilient, because this stuff needs to be resilient, because it is not given that the internet will stay, for instance, even that, and then we need to talk about meshes, but for the moment the internet stays. But we have to build risk analysis and risk assessment into the stuff we do, and that obviously initially that may be just too much to think about. But I do err on the side of just let's just see where. Let's just keep going with our particular. I'm in the same boat. I have dreams very similar that cross-cut both of these projects that we're talking about as similarities. But I still want it to be. There's some differences, and what I wanted to do is see interconnections happen. Obviously, it comes down to I know. Check out b2rf.org in terms of my dream of having a tech fund that where we'd all get a little bit of money to build interoperability solutions. I'm gonna pause it there.
Okay. So absolutely many things there to answer. Doing something else if people don't want to be part of it anymore or find better opportunities elsewhere. That's obviously a problem. In my case, I've been working on this project for 7 years now, so it's not likely that I'll just jump out of this in a time soon. So, but I keep thinking that this is a lot of work for me, and I would be happy if someone just developed this kind of system and had help that could help people solve social complex problems. Then I wouldn't have to work anymore with this, and spare my and I can use my time elsewhere. But actually, I find this quite fun to work on, challenging and exciting, and so I'm fine doing this for free. Yeah, sharing code also. This platform has been developed over 4 or 5 years now, so it's gone through major architectural changes many times. So obviously just one guy working on this has limited resources, so the code base is quite messy at the moment. So that's why I'm a little bit could share that better. Obviously, I have to put it out there sometime to have more developers joining in. And also, C# is not the best language for open source. So also, I'm thinking about rewriting the core also code. So, but there's a lot of talks and a lot of things to do. Yeah, also you mentioned ego. Yeah, I was talked a little about that, and also distributed systems. I love distributed architectures, but as I also mentioned, it's all about creating an MVP and getting something out there to be used by the masses, and it's been a challenge to both develop something that can be used by end users and also something that would be distributed and resilient. But I'm very open to ideas for how to make the system more resilient or distributed. But this is a big challenge, so I'm very open to that. But there's no plans for that at the moment. We have a long-term roadmap and many-year plan ahead. And actually, distributed architecture is in the plans, but it's just mentioned as a bullet point in a long-term plan. So,
Bye, Willie.
Bye.
bye-bye. So I think I answered hopefully some of those questions.
If I may, Roy, that's fair enough. I think just putting it in the project plan is a good start because it just frames it that this is where we want to go. You know, there are potentially opportunities for getting funding or collaborating. Over the last 6 years, I've got €500,000 from Europe in research grants, and I've also got just now another £100,000 from UK, and there's something called CHEST, which you should just Google, and it's an EU. I don't know what you just need to Google it. It's just a where you can get up to 60K, and it could be a help. We need to do more really in trying to get funding out to these initiatives. That's my idea behind V2RF, is like we actually fund people to implement interoperability, social stuff, and sort of common technologies that are kind of the same. Everyone needs them. But anyway, yeah.
I did a me about 8 or 9 comments ago. I'm not sure if people saw it, but is there anything people were like burning to say? Otherwise, I've got a couple of things I wanted to say. Yeah, it's also really handy on the funding. I really want to learn more about your approach to funding, Daniel, and stuff. Because yeah, you've definitely given me some new thoughts on that and stuff. Yeah, I think just really quickly finishing on that ego thing, because it's not a big thing, but I think maybe a better word for some aspects of it is maybe more just sort of wanting to stay in a familiar place, like you were saying, Roy, that you've been working on a project for 7 years, and I suppose I just really want that to not be a thing that makes. I don't want that to be my reason to stay on Change the Future, because I've been working on a project that is called Change the Future for many years, so that means that I'm less likely to want to leave it. Like I might change it or merge it or something, but yeah, I kind of wanted to be ready to follow the values wherever they are best represented in whatever project, whatever it's called, or whatever people it is. But I feel like we basically probably all pretty much agree with that anyway, and it's just not that relevant. So I was going to I've just pulled some pictures up of some of the latest kind of sketches that I've done, and I wondered if you wanted to see some of these, because I thought that could be a thing that could be of immediate use, maybe, if you're interested. But totally up to you. Just some sort of design ideas for where Change the Future is heading.
Sure, that would be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, as I show you them, just obviously feel completely free to say, slow down, fast forward, I'm bored of that, whatever. Like, please don't think I'll be offended. I'm just showing this to you for your own benefit in case you're interested. So, how do I share the screen? Screen share, huh? So full screen. Is that working for you? Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Inception.
Yeah, that's working.
Can everyone else mute themselves while he's doing that? Otherwise, it flips off and on.
Well, actually, what you can do instead, Daniel, is you can click my picture and it will just lock it for you.
Ah, okay, got it. Thank you. I've learned something.
Cool. So I'll show you a couple of things, and please don't be polite. Like, tell me if I'm lingering too much on something or you're not interested. This one here is me just at the very beginnings of using the Change the Future problem-solving process on Change the Future itself. So this is something I'm doing on the wall in the office at Change the Future right now, and you can see how it's a bit like a tree. So it begins on the left-hand side with the ultimate goal that every single action works towards this ultimate goal. So if I zoom in on this, you might be able to read it. To help humans live much more sustainable and happy lives. So that's ultimately what we want everything to work towards. It's completely fluffy, it's almost pointlessly broad, but if we can just now focus that into a slightly more focused action plan, let's create a better way for humans to deeply understand their own problems and to solve them together cooperatively. So if human beings can pretty much all agree on that one idea, then we can start to work towards creating a virtual environment, a space that people all feel welcome, even if they totally disagree on approach. You know, if they're anti-immigration or pro-war, anti-pro whatever, you know, at least we can agree on one thing that brings us together in one place. So then we can start to apply a scientific process that hopefully isn't too overwhelming to democratically work out a strategy that gets more and more focused the more we go along. So on the very right hand side you should end up with branches that form twigs, and on the end of those twigs of this strategy tree actionable proposals that we can do right now, like buy paper clips or print a document or organize a meeting. You know, so on the very right hand side is completely focused ideas. So I won't show you the rest of these post-it notes, but I think you kind of get the idea. It's built out. You can look at it in columns if you like. So you're looking at 5 columns here, and on column 3 you can see that there's simultaneously 3 strategies happening at the same time. So
why do you need the dependency of that everything has to come from happy lives? Why can't I just say
Okay.
I want to write a book and it doesn't depend on anything? What's the feeling for you with that?
yeah, right. Okay, so I think it should be possible to use this process, the Change the Future process, which is what OpenIDO would call the OI engine, which they now sell as a separate module. I think you should be able to use that inside completely separate trees. So not every bit of problem solving should have to happen inside this tree. I think I might have said that wrong just now. So yeah, you should be able to just go, my ultimate objective is to write a book, and then you can build a strategy with that as your ultimate goal. And then also you should be able to, if I'm only interested in one of these post-it notes and everything that helps to achieve that, I can set my ultimate goal, as far as I'm concerned, that I'm interested in, at least right now. I can move that ultimate goal anywhere I want, and for me, my entire universe of problem solving starts there. You know what I mean?
I really want to sort of agree with you on that. That for me, yeah, it's about me-centric, and it's when I interact with other people, and this whole thing about we don't all need to agree. It's just I just need to find 5 other people who agree with me on this particular subject, and that for me is it's all issue based, and it's like problem solving this particular thing, and it doesn't have to be sort of. So it makes it easier for me to get into the system, and then I can start to make links with other problems, other solutions, and then I see it more as a web of things that maybe isn't visualizable in the holistic sense, but it's kind of like you can take a slice through it, and it's easy to visualize.
I feel like what we're talking about is an issue of who is affected by this problem solving or change making. So if you want to write a book, that's just your personal ambition that maybe other people will start to be inspired by and want to get involved in, and they want to build a good strategy. Or maybe it's a company that wants to sell cars or whatever it is, and they can potentially use this process. That's fine. But I think what the difference is one, the main Change the Future dream for me that drives me to want to build it is this global strategy, and people can work on whatever bit of it they're interested in. But I think it's really important that we don't just solve a problem, like what is the best way to run our local buses off of biofuel. But I don't want to just start the problem solving process just there, because I want to see what problem is that trying to achieve. Well, we're doing that problem solving to achieve a bigger aim, a bigger ambition, which is reduce our pollution. Why do we want to do that? Because we want to live healthier lives and not destroy the planet. So do you know what I mean? It kind of...
Yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
Just as long as the software doesn't hard code in these things, I'm really cool, because then you can, then people can, agree to be in it or not, or to adhere to these bigger goals or not, and yet they can still use the system. Yeah.
I see it a little bit like a river. Like you could see it flowing downwards instead of to the right, and it's like all of the streams come from one huge river. And if you want to, you can create a little oxbow lake that's kind of broken off and is just driven by, whoever wants to achieve a certain aim, and that's fine. But I think the difference is that the government right now and the council right now are making decisions that are on my behalf, and they're affecting my life. And a lot of the time I feel like the decisions that are made are not actually in my interest. And it's partly because the government or the council doesn't know me and doesn't really understand my needs. and I want a better way of interacting with that decision-making process. So the choices that are made on my behalf actually include my ideas and wisdom and experience and ultimately my needs. So I think that's what's different between you using this strategy tree process to do a project with your friends, maybe a book, versus an elite minority making decisions on behalf of other people that could affect their lives badly.
Okay. I would really like to show you my PowerPoint on how I thought of my own project before I ran into Koios, because it's also linking into that, all the things you're saying.
Okay. Do you want to do that now, or should I move on to?
No, I'll do that later in another talk, I guess. I think it's also something I would like to for the future is to meet each other in person. Maybe it's good to have like a, I don't know, something like the same kind of technology project that have the same kind of focus for us to get together.
Yeah, I feel like there's loads we could learn from each other. I feel like, I'm sure.
Have you heard about my project, my gathering in Amsterdam in October? Don't know if that will help us meeting.
Sure, please share.
I'll get a link for you.
That sounds really great.
Yeah, that.
I'm trying not to speak because it turns into feedback forever.
Whoa! Inception.
Luke, just one thing is that I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm keen that you can do both with the system. That's what I'm working towards, is that you can do self-projects and then self-realization, and also then the output can go to the junta, the incumbent junta.
Yeah.
Just a short comment from me. I really like these ideas, and I really want to learn more about it. I didn't quite get the whole thing, but I'm really interested in learning more about this. And I think if you mix this in with Koios, we're on a good path. You little more overarching, more humanistic, artistic side of it, and when we mix this with the more analytic approach of Koios, I think we have a very good platform.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear you say that, because I similarly feel like there's a lot that Change the Future could learn from your deep dissection of challenges and understanding them. But so I mean, one thing that I really wish you could meet Alex PB, who's our techie coding person. He's made a very basic prototype of Change the Future, which I could show you later, but it's a long way from the stuff we're looking at now. It's just kind of to play with a little bit, but he's full of, to me, really inspiring ideas. And one of the things that I've come around to that he has suggested is that actually challenges, as in invitations for proposals or solutions, are not really any different, not in a black and white sense. They're not different to proposals, because you could begin any challenge or proposal. It's just a question of how you begin it. That's what I'm trying to say. Like just with hosting this, just having this conversation could be a proposal or a challenge. I suppose once it becomes completely actionable and there's nothing left to decide anymore, then you have to call it a proposal, and you can no longer call it a challenge, because you can't propose how to buy an orange paperclip for 5p from Staples. There's nothing left to discuss really. It's just maybe when you do it or something. But I think that was a really quite revolutionary thing for me in terms of design and strategy, is that you can put how might we have good online discussions, or you can say I propose we have good online discussions, and one sounds like a proposal and one sounds like a challenge, a question, but they're actually the same. So really what I've realized is that it's all of the good design stuff is about spectrums, I think, and so the challenge is focusing into proposals is really a question of a focus spectrum of focus. So I think once the challenge becomes very focused, then it becomes increasingly actionable, and that's when it should open itself up for a democratic debate using a democratic vote. Sorry, using liquid democracy. Just to clarify before I leave this picture, none of this should be set in stone. This is obviously part of the interactive process. Even debatably, the ultimate goal could possibly change, but so if you look on column 3, there's 3 simultaneous approaches to achieving the ambition on column 2, but somebody could add a 4th one and a 5th one and a 6th one, and people could vote on those in terms of how much they agree that that is a good way of achieving the previous aim. Do you know what I mean? So the second column is I propose, or how might we create a better way for humans to deeply understand their own problems and solve them together cooperatively. And then there's 3 responses to that focus it, that are like answers to that challenge. Like, well, we do this, and we do this, and we do this. So, do you know what I mean? Anyone can put forward an idea, and that's how the strategy is crowdsourced. But ultimately, that needs to focus into a stage where it's ready to be voted on. You've got a clear enough proposal for people to actually vote on it.
This is exactly the kind of design challenges I've been working on for years. How to model this kind of data. And at Koios, we have arrived at the idea that you start with a challenge. It's on the website now. It's called problems, but we are actually just about to change it to challenges instead of problems. And then you have proposals added to these challenges. You submit a proposal for a solution to the challenge. And the reason for that is that we want people to really understand the problem, the challenge, before you propose some idea. Because if everyone just proposes ideas, it's a big chance that they'll, very often not be very thought through, actually. So,
I think there's a lot of conversation to be had there, but at the moment I feel like actually that could be potentially a bit, sometimes a little bit patronizing, or sometimes just a little bit disempowering, or maybe just not fully recognizing that some people need to feel closer to changing something.
Yeah.
Even if it's a little bit of a bad idea, that's the only way that they're going to stay engaged. And maybe if we can build in some kind of fail-safe into the system so that people can put forward an idea if they feel that they need to start actually feeling productive, like I just want to throw some solutions out there, maybe we can work backwards and it can be a system that doesn't have to be so chronological. Like you can start putting solutions forward before you fully understood the problem, and maybe the design can be so elegant that as you develop the solution, it highlights increasingly more and more that actually it doesn't meet the need of our simultaneously better understanding of the challenge. You know what I mean? These things can happen all at the same time. As the solution gets clearer and people are voting on it or whatever, the challenge that it's trying to address can maybe be increasingly better and better understood, and make it clearer and clearer that this solution we've been working towards actually doesn't work. But what's good is that at least we've managed to keep the people who felt that need to start proposing solutions now.
I'm gonna leave now because I have to get off the computer. I put a link there to NewMap. I really suggest that you guys all register on it and have a play around if you can, if they allow. You know, It's yes. It's a I don't know if they've yet put the code up somewhere, but they're very nice guys. They're doing things spiritually, and it's all on but it looks good, and it's kind of just another way of visualizing interconnected ideas, and so it maybe doesn't have the specific flow that you're thinking about, but maybe that could be incorporated. I'm not saying it's the system. I'm just saying it's a nice visualization of interconnected stuff.
Definitely check that out.
I look forward to playing with you guys more. I'm gonna just have a life offline a little bit.
Yeah, sure, man. Well, this is recorded anyway, so if you want to see stuff at any time, you know it.
Take care.
All right.
It's good to meet you guys.
Cool, man. Nice
Yeah,
one,
good to
Dan.
meet you too.
Cheers, man. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Yes, about submitting ideas and proposal. I think there's a lot of discussion ground there and many interesting things that we should discuss there. But I'll be afraid we would be changing the platform into a traditional ID management system. There's already many of them out there. So. That's my main concern, but we need to think more about this. Yeah.
Another sort of, for me, a big milestone in terms of developing the design was recognizing the platform as a kind of three-pillar process. Number one is crowdsourcing the vision and strategy. Like, what are we even trying to do at all in the first place? Why are we even taking any action, or what are the problems? Like, page one, step one stuff. So that's the post-it notes on the wall that I showed you. That gives you a little flavour of that. I think we've talked about that most of all. Then, as that focuses, pillar number two is the liquid democratic voting process. And I see that as quite separate. The interface and the process for that is quite different. And I wanted to show you a design thing on here that you might find interesting. So I think the proposal wants to sit in the middle. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So the body of the proposal sits in the middle. The title is "Let Students Decide Whether to Wear School Uniform." And there's a few stats and metrics, bits of information at the top. But see how it's laid out in a way that is designed for anybody to walk in at any point in the conversation. This could be 1 hour old, or it could be 1 week or 1 month old. And the idea is that people can come in and instantly understand how popular this idea is, how urgent people think it is, how viable the idea is. And they can also, conversation isn't just like most forums on the internet where it kind of just goes down, descending, but rather it's laid out. So we've actually changed this quite a lot. Instead of the word for, we have benefits. So people list the benefits of their proposal. See, it says benefits, and then on the other side it says concerns. So rather than just saying no, Roy's proposal shouldn't happen, I list my concerns with your proposal, and that's more productive then, because it can help to steer your idea into a better direction. So rather than me just blocking and just saying it shouldn't happen because of A, B, and C, I say these are the concerns that I'm not sure that you fully recognized. I'd like to share with you. And then so these can be, they're like a music playlist. You can reorder them so that the best points are at the top. So on benefits, at the top is the democratically agreed on most relevant and most important benefit, and then on the other side at the top of the list is the concern that most people feel is the biggest concern with that proposal.
Yeah. Sorry, I have to go now, so we should try to wrap it up. You two could continue the discussion, but I have to go, so we need to just plan ahead a little bit. Just a comment on what you just showed. I think that's very interesting also. But I also think there's a lot of solutions out there that does this or very similar to this, showing the pros and cons or for or against sides of a proposal. Can maybe send you a link of different tools there.
Yeah, I spoke to Lumia about the way they do it, and yeah, I feel like I'm kind of 25% of the way through describing it. But yeah, this far through the description, I think it sounds a lot like Lumia. It looks quite a lot like Lumia. But yeah, I'd like to see the others on there too, and I think Lumia will evolve and stuff too. But, yeah, maybe we should jump to the last bit of the agenda if you are heading off now,
Yes.
as in next steps or sort of looking at a date for whatever it is we want to do next.
We need to Sorry. We need to summarize, share each other links, or do we have this, all this access to all of these links and stuff later on?
Yeah, that would be great. Pretty much everything to do with Change the Future is on ChangeTheFuture.co.uk. There's a list of everything from design sketches to yeah, you can see how we manage those 3 pillars at the moment. The last one, which I didn't talk about, but it's basically task management, and you probably know Trello. We use Trello for the task management. Like once we've worked on the vision, voted on something, and then decided we should do it, we break it down into tasks and then allocate the tasks to people, delegate the tasks to people. So we use Trello for that. Great effect.
Okay, so but let's share links and also share some suggestions for a next meeting. I think there's a lot of interesting topics to discuss further here. So let's share some ideas for what to discuss in the next meeting and try to prioritize what's the most important things to discuss.
Yeah, maybe let's say our favorite and least favorite bits or aspects of it, maybe like kind of the moments we got most out of, and then maybe we can sort of improve them. So that's an idea.
Yeah,
I'm quite free next week. I'm quite open. I can do Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday.
okay, I'll have to check my calendar later on, but I have to go right now actually. So it was very nice talking to you, getting to know you, and thanks a lot for this talk.
Come on, really a pleasure to meet you and a privilege to, yeah, to
All right.
find your face and get to know what you're about.
Yeah, same to you. Okay, bye. Bye.
See you later.
Yeah. If I can figure out how I end this call.
Hey man.
Yeah, see you later, Luke. For me, Tuesday or Wednesday right now could be fine, but let's see what works.
Okay, do you want to talk to Roy and then you two throw me, whatever's your favourite out of those 3 days?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Cool, man.
Yeah,
Right.
see you later.
You're heading off, cool. Catch you later. All the best. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye.